Most rat traps sold today work on the same snap mechanism invented in the 1890s and fail for the same reason they always have. There is a bottle trap old farmhouses relied on that works completely differently, costs under $1, and most rats never learn to avoid because it does not look like a trap at all. Before building the trap, the same principle that applies to cockroach bait and ant bait applies here. Rats are neophobic. New objects placed in their established routes trigger avoidance behavior that can last several days before a rat becomes comfortable enough to investigate. This is the primary reason that a brand new snap trap, placed where you have seen rat activity, often sits untouched for the first 2 or 3 days. Old farmhouses dealt with this, not through more aggressive traps, but through patience and through making the trap look and smell as unremarkable as possible in its environment. The bottle trap works because it exploits 2 rat behaviors simultaneously. Rats are naturally curious about enclosed spaces, and they will readily enter a dark, enclosed tube or bottle because it mimics the burrow-like environments they instinctively seek for shelter and food investigation. The second behavior is that rats have poor vision and rely heavily on their sense of smell to identify food and safe routes. A bottle baited with a familiar food smell inside a location they already frequent does not trigger the same neophobic response that a metal snap trap placed in the open does. Here is exactly how to build the most reliable version. Take a 2-liter plastic bottle and cut a circular entry hole roughly 2.5 to 3 inches in diameter on one side near the base of the bottle, large enough for a rat to enter comfortably. The hole should be positioned about 2 inches from the bottom of the bottle so the base acts as a floor inside. Fill the bottom inch of the bottle with a dry, loose material such as sawdust, dry soil, crumpled paper, or dry grain. This gives the interior a familiar texture that reduces the rat's wariness on entry. Place the bait at the far end of the bottle away from the entry hole, pressed against the interior back wall. The rat enters, moves toward the bait at the far end, and the weight distribution shifts as it moves forward. The bottle rolls. The entry hole rotates away from the upward-facing position, and the rat cannot get back out. For this to work reliably, the bottle needs to be positioned on a surface where it can roll freely and come to rest with the entry hole facing downward or to the side. A bucket placed beneath the bottle is the traditional farmhouse configuration. The bottle is balanced on the edge of the bucket with the entry hole facing upward. When the rat enters and moves toward the bait, the bottle rolls off the edge into the bucket. This is a live catch method, and the most effective configuration for catching multiple rats in a single night since the trap resets after each catch. If you prefer a dry trap, the bottle can be positioned on a flat surface inside a box or enclosed area where rolling and confinement is sufficient. Bait selection matters significantly more with rats than with mice. Rats are omnivores with a preference for high-fat, high-protein foods. Peanut butter is widely recommended and works well, but experienced trappers often note that fresh bait outperforms processed food. A small piece of raw chicken or fish, a pinch of dry pet food, or a smear of lard mixed with something with a strong smell such as fish sauce or anchovy paste tends to attract rats faster than peanut butter alone, particularly for roof rats and Norway rats that have been in an area long enough to become habituated to common trap bait. The key principle is that the smell needs to be strong enough to draw a rat from a distance, since the trap only works once the rat has already decided to investigate the bottle. Placement is the most critical factor and the one where most people get it wrong. Rats do not travel across open floor space if they can avoid it. They move along walls, behind appliances, inside wall cavities, and under floor cabinets, keeping their whiskers and body in contact with a surface as they travel. Every rat in a building has an established route it uses repeatedly, and droppings, grease marks along baseboards, and gnaw marks will show you exactly where that route runs. Place the bottle trap along an active route as close to the wall as possible, with the entry hole facing the direction of travel. A trap placed in the middle of a room will rarely catch anything. A trap placed 3 inches from a baseboard on a confirmed active route will often produce a result within the first 2 nights. Now for the overnight claim in the title. The honest version is this: in a home with an active rat population and a confirmed active route, a well-placed bottle trap baited with strong-smelling fresh bait can produce a result on the first or second night. The neophobia factor means that a rat in a new environment, or one that recently had a frightening experience, may take 3 to 5 nights before it begins investigating the bottle. The overnight result is most reliably achieved when the trap has been pre-baited, meaning bait is placed near the trap, but not inside it for 2 nights before the trap is actually set, allowing the rat to associate that location with food before encountering the confining structure of the bottle. Old farmhouse trappers called this conditioning the bait site, and it is consistently the practice that converts a 3 to 5 night result into a first night result. One important safety note: a bucket trap with water is the most common traditional farmhouse method for definitive results. Others prefer to relocate caught animals. If you are using the dry confinement version, check the trap frequently, since a confined rat will cause significant stress and injury to itself if left for extended periods. Relocate caught animals at least a mile from your home if releasing them, since rats have strong homing instincts and will return from shorter distances. On the question of why this works better than snap traps in some situations, snap traps are highly effective when used correctly, and professional pest managers use them successfully. The advantage of the bottle trap is specifically for situations where rats have already learned to avoid snap traps, either through direct experience or through the alarm pheromones released by a rat that was injured rather than cleanly caught. Once a snap trap has produced an alarm pheromone event in a location, other rats in the area become significantly more wary of that specific location for several weeks. The bottle trap in that situation offers a novel object in a different form that has not been associated with danger, which can break through the learned avoidance of the established trap. There is one variation worth knowing for roof spaces and attic environments specifically, since the standard bucket configuration does not work well in those locations. In an attic or crawl space, a cardboard box with a small entry hole cut in one end, the bottle placed inside on a sloped surface so rolling is contained within the box, achieves the same confinement result without needing a bucket. The enclosed cardboard also helps, since rats in upper building areas are more cautious about open spaces and prefer entering dark enclosed structures. The smell of the cardboard itself, neutral and familiar from the building environment, reduces the neophobia response compared to a clean new plastic surface. Some experienced farmhouse trappers also rubbed their bottle traps along active rat roots before setting them, transferring the existing scent of the environment onto the trap surface to make it blend in chemically as well as visually. Old barn cats and old farmhouse designs use the same combination approach. The physical trap handles rats already inside. The exclusion work covered in the earlier mice video in this series, steel wool, caulk, and gap sealing, handles the entry routes that bring new rats in. Running both simultaneously is what old farm management understood, and it is what professional pest control does when a building has a serious problem. If you build this trap tonight, pre-bait without setting it for the first 2 nights, then set it on night 3. The pre-baiting step is the one that makes the difference between a trap that sits untouched for a week and one that produces a result quickly. And it is the step that every hardware store trap package leaves out because it requires patience rather than a product purchase. Check it at dawn. Most successful first results happen in that 3rd to 5th night window, and once the first one is caught, subsequent catches from the same population typically follow faster as the remaining rats have had more time to associate the bait site with food rather than danger. Let me know in the comments where you are seeing rat activity in your home, kitchen and larder, roof space, or wall cavities, because the placement and bait strategy differs for each location, and I will cover the specifics for wherever most of you are dealing with this.